Note: these chapters have extreme violence. You have been warned. Chapter 13. Back Offices. Whiskey Joe's Casino, South Vegas. Brian, Kai, and the wild-haired man are led in a single-file line to a locked door a short distance from the roulette table. One of the security guards scans a badge on an electronic badge reader and opens the door for the others to follow. Brian can hear the gambler in the back yelling, "You better not lose my chips! I had 25 G's in winnings!" After a short walk down a white hallway, another door is scanned open by one of the guards. Brian hears, "Is this the VIP treatment? If so, I want a massage first, then a happy finish, then a bucket of chicken. I don't want sushi or some shit. I'm not trusting any fish from a city in the desert." After a little longer walk down a gray hallway, another door is scanned open that leads to another hallway. As each door is passed, and the farther the trio are taken, the more trapped they feel. Eventually they are led into an executive's office. In the center of the office they see a large oak desk. The walls are also made of oak, and the walls are adorned with various concert posters and comedian billings. 3 chairs are in front of the desk, and the 3 are pushed into each of the chairs. Brian is placed in the middle, and the Kai and Gambler are placed into the others. The head security guard walks behind the desk and knocks on the door on the wall behind the desk, and he leaves the room from the same door everyone entered. The back door opens. Now out walks a large man with a red face from too much alcohol and a large belly from too many steakhouse dinners. He's dressed in a silver suit with a white undershirt. The red tie on his chest is way too small for his chest and belly. If it wasn't for the seriousness of the man's face, the tie would look like a silly joke.
"Are you the asshole that fought with my nephew?"
says Uncle Joe. Brian looks down, then back up. "Yes, sir." Whiskey Joe walks to the desk and places both palms down and leans forward to glare at Brian. The gambler turns and looks at Brian and says, "Well, if you're gonna die, did you at least beat him up? My mama said, if you're gonna fight, you better win." Whiskey Joe looks at the gambler and says,
"Shut up. I'll deal with you next."
Then he looks back at Brian.
"That boy needed an ass whipping. I watched the video of you fighting. It was pathetic. This is the fight capital of the world, and you fight like that? Get some lessons, boy." Anyways, your friend the waitress? Janet, I think? She told me what happened between you 3.
A fighter and an intellectual. Whiskey Joe frowns, then continues speaking to Brian.
"Were you protecting her sweet ass for yourself? Or are you really that chivalrous?"
Kai looks at Brian. "You didn't tell me you were fired for protecting someone." Whiskey Joe continues again.
"I'm afraid you can't get your job back. I can't have my employees fighting. You are both fired. But I can give you this."
Whiskey Joe hands Brian an envelope.
"If you promise not to sue, if you stay off my property, this is yours."
As Brian grabs the envelope, the small tugging sensation that he started ignoring when the security guards showed up dissipated. Brian opens the envelope and he sees $5,000 in cash. "Sounds great to me," says Brian. Kai whispers Brian, "You found it with the coin." A smile creeps up on both their faces. Whiskey Joe smiles. Then he turns to the gambler.
"Who the fuck are you? And how the fuck are you beating my tables?"
The gambler says, "I'm William Hill, and I'm just lucky. I go by Will, but not Will Hill. Bill Hill or William Hill I am. That would be crazy." Whiskey Joe looks at Will.
"You will leave my property as well, or you will leave inside an envelope."
"So no points on my Players Club card?"
"Get out."
Chapter 14. Back Offices. Whiskey Joe's Casino, South Vegas. A well-dressed young man in a baby blue shirt and dark suit walks up to an electronic badge scanner. He squeezes the coin in his left hand tight, and the locked door swings open. He walks through the door and holds it open for a man dressed in gray. The men look at a small map on the wall, and the first man points to the room that says security. The 2 men start moving at a trot to the security room. The hallways are empty at the moment. Without running into anyone, they find the security room door. They stagger on either side of the door frame. Sanchez squeezes his coin, and a large black sword appears in his right hand. The young man squeezes his hand again and touches the secure door. The large metal door swings open, and Sanchez quietly runs in. A security guard sitting at the monitoring station starts to look at the opening door. A split second later, his head is rolling on the ground. The young man closes the security door. He tells Sanchez, "Block this door. It won't lock once I've used my coin on it." Sanchez drags the headless body to the door. and he placed it against the door as a doorstop. He faces the door and tells his partner, "Continue." His bloody sword tip resting on the ground next to him. The young man sits down at the monitoring station, types on a keyboard until a prompt shows up. Password? He squeezes his coin. Then he reads, "Password accepted." He starts to run a query on the currently rented rooms. It will return all the check-in and check-out times. He also makes the monitoring station display the faces seen at the check-in times at the front desk. He spends a few minutes looking at the faces, but he doesn't recognize anyone. So he changes the query to the previous day's rented rooms. After a minute of looking at faces, he recognizes one young face, an associate of Dr. Maria Perez, the previous owner of the Heal coin. He has found Kai, the owner of the Find coin. Definitely a big payday for me and Sanchez, he thinks. "I have a hit," he says aloud. He commands the monitoring station to find that face in any camera feeds in the past few days. After a minute, he hears a ping. One video is listed in the results. He watches the video. It shows Kai entering her room. Interesting. She entered but didn't leave. I better verify. He plays a video showing her room for the past 2 days. He plays the videos at high speed. Eventually he sees Kai exit her room with her hood up. Her face was hidden from the cameras. "Should have had your hood up the whole time. You need to be diligent at all times in this game, girlie." His face search returns another hit. Another video is listed. He plays the video, and he sees Kai entering the casino with a disheveled young man about her age. The timestamp was in the past hour. Another video. This time it's a view from inside the casino. It shows Kai, the young man, and a really poofy-haired man being escorted into the back offices by security. He says out loud to Sanchez, "I have something here. She's here at the casino. Now. She has friends. Give me 1 minute." He commands the console to search the face database for any hits on the two strange men. Then he commands the console to perform a live search for all 3 faces. Chapter 15. Back Offices. Whiskey Joe's Casino, South Vegas. Brian, Kai, and Will are escorted out of Whiskey Joe's office by the head security officer.
"Your faces are on file. If you enter again, we will have words. Understand?"
"Yes." "Where's my winnings, man?" says Will. The security officer hands Will a backpack. Will glances inside the pack. He sees $10,000 in stacked bills. "Yep, you won't see me again." The head security guard points at one of his men.
"Take them out the back way. I need to go relieve Johnson in the security office."
The head security officer turns left down a hallway and turns a corner. The others head the other direction behind the other guard. In a whisper, Brian says to Will, "Hey, Will, are you using your coin right now?" Will stops walking, looks at Brian. "So you're in the game. If you attack me, you will lose." "Not gonna attack you. You just heard that I can't fight." "Oh, that's right. If you have a coin, you could use that. I'm telling you, don't. You will lose." "Can't use my coin to attack. But I can feel you using your coin right now." "Nah, is that not you?" Kai hears them both and says, "Time to go." Chapter 16. Security Room. Whiskey Joe's Casino, South Vegas. The head of security sees 2 strange men exiting the security office. There's a dark pool of liquid in the hallway. The man in front seems to unbelievably be holding a sword.
"Only in Vegas,"
he thinks. Then he draws a semi-auto pistol from the holster on his hip. He starts to recognize the dark liquid pool as blood. As he raises and thrusts going forward two-handed, he pulls the trigger. He can feel the trigger break right before a hollow point bullet exits the barrel. When that bullet hits, it will turn to a mushroom shape from the target and will cause a tremendous amount of damage. Unfortunately, his target has moved offline. Before he can reset and fire again, he feels a tremendous burning sensation in his arms. He sees his pistol, his hands, and his forearms. Drops to the floor in front of him. His extended stumps for arms starts to spray blood in front of him. His last thoughts before he loses his head are,
"Only in freaking Vegas."
Sanchez then stabs the fallen corpse in the heart. "Hey, I think he's dead. Why are you stabbing him? Anger issues?" says his younger partner. "There's some payback due to this bitch and her friends. I'll tell you later. Grab that gun. Let's move." Sanchez and his partner run in the direction of Kai, as last seen on the camera feed. Chapter 17. Back Offices. Whiskey Joe's Casino, South Vegas. Brian, Kai, Will, and the escorting security guard all hear the report of a gunshot. They all stop moving for a second. A few moments later, the security guard's radio crackles, and they all hear,
"He has a fucking sword!"
Then they hear more gunshots. Then silence. Then the guard rushes past them towards the gunshots and yells, "Find your own way out! I suggest going away from the banks!" Kai yells at Brian, "Find a safe way out, now! And concentrate on safe!" Brian grabs a coin in his pocket and he squeezes it tight. He thinks, "I want to find a safe way out, away from the guns. I want this more than anything." Brian then feels a tugging on his belly. He grabs Kai's hand and yells, "Follow me!" as he starts to run down the hallway. Kai is surprised at the hand grab right before she's pulled into Brian's wake. It forces her to run with him. Will grabs and squeezes his coin as well. Then he follows Brian at a fast-paced run. A few seconds later, they hear multiple gunshots from behind them. They run for a minute and turn a corner into another long hallway. "How long are these halls?" yells Brian. More shots are heard. Brian feels a tug on his belly towards the far door at the end of the hallway. The coin is leading him to the door. He runs down the hallway to the door. When Brian gets to it, he pushes on it, but it's locked, with a long chain and padlock. "It's locked! This must be a safe way out," says Brian. He continues to feel a tug towards the door. Will grabs the lock and looks at it. The padlock was positioned so it looked locked. Someone must have lost the key, or they were lazy and left it in this position. "Ooh, how lucky," says Will. He turns the open padlock and takes off the chain. Then he yanks the chain off the door. They all exit the hallway and enter a parking garage. Brian feels a tug to the left and races off. The tugging sensation takes him to an old Volkswagen Bug, and it's sitting on a set of custom black racing rims. Will exclaims, "Hey, my car! How lucky is that? Isn't she a beauty?" "Keys!" yells Brian. Will reaches in his pockets and throws Brian the keys. Brian unlocks the driver's side door and hops in. He leans over and unlocks the passenger side door. Kai pushes Will into the back seat. "Hey, it's my car!" Brian starts the car, and the engine roars. "I replaced the engine with an engine from an old Porsche. Pretty sweet, huh?" The ladies never appreciate it, though. As Brian puts the car into gear, the hallway door leading to the garage bursts open, and a man in gray steps out. Brian looks up, and he sees the garage exit sign pointing to the right, and towards the very same door just used by the man in gray. Brian guns the engine and turns towards the exit and towards the man. Sanchez stands in the middle of the parking garage, with a large black sword at his side. Brian aims the purple car at the man like an 1,800-pound bullet. Sanchez doesn't move, till he sees Kai in the passenger seat. Then right before getting hit by the speeding car, he jumps to the passenger side of the car. At the same time, he swings a sword at the passenger side door. The sword is supernaturally sharp. It cuts through the side mirror, the metal door, the interior paneling, Kai's flesh, and part of the front seat, before it passes out the car. Kai screams, "Ah! My leg!" A second later, a young man in blue exits the hallway into the parking garage. He sees Sanchez on the ground. He sees a purple Bug driving away. He sees a man with a wild head of hair looking back at him through the back window. He raises a stolen pistol, and he fires those remaining shots at the back of the Bug. Fortunately for Will, one of those shots blows out the back window, and his face is pepper of safety glass. Then he feels a burning in his arm. Will yells, "I'm hit! Suck it out! Suck it out!"